My name is Shauna Sylvester, and I will be running in the upcoming election for mayor as an independent candidate.
And can you tell us about the decision-making process, how you came to this decision?
It wasn't an easy decision-making process. It was actually a difficult one, I would say. I have a fabulous job at the Morris J. Wass Center for Dialogue, where I'm the executive director at Simon Fraser University. And it's a great place to be. But after talking to many different citizens in roundtables in their living room, I realized that many citizens don't feel connected to their city. We have not done a great job in speaking to them, in talking to them, engaging them in what they want the city to look like. And they love it, and I love the city. I was born here. And so for me, stepping into this role has been about recognizing that I have skills to bring that are hard to find. Skills about bringing people from different views together to come and solve really difficult challenges that we're having.
So can you tell us, what is it about your own personal or professional background that you think makes you well suited to be mayor in this kind of particular political moment in Vancouver?
One of my skills is as a problem solver. It's what I do. I bring very diverse people together to come up with solutions to difficult issues. I've done that in conflict zones around the world, but mostly I've done it locally on issues like transportation, on housing, drug policy. These are issues I know, and I want to be able to bring more people into those conversations. And so I think that the skills as a facilitator, as a convener, as a problem solver, as a bridge builder are some of my expertise that I bring to play.
And can you tell us how you came to the decision to run as an independent as opposed to seeking the nomination of a Vision or another party?
So I have 30 years of working across political divides, and I wanted to relate to where citizens are at. And most citizens aren't part of political parties. And I wanted to forge a new path and really build a progressive voice for Vancouver. And I think I have the skills to work with many different political parties and to work with citizens to build that progressive voice.
Have you ever thought about running for elected office in the past, over the years?
I have at different times in my life. I remember when I was a young girl, it was either I was going to become a nun or a prime minister. It was very different views of the world, and I lost that because I didn't really have one political party that spoke to me. So the idea of running for office didn't really become part of my story because I didn't firmly have a political party that spoke to me. I saw myself in many different political parties. And so this time, at this moment in our history in Vancouver, it felt like the right time to run as an independent.
And why at the municipal level, particularly, as opposed to provincial or federal politics? If this is your first time sort of getting into the political world, is there a reason you wanted to look at the city level?
Well, I love this city, and I actually think democracy is strongest when it's closest to the people. And so as a citizen of Vancouver, I've lived here in and around Vancouver for almost 50 years. I have something to offer. I know this city, I know it well. I know the issues here, and I felt that this was the level at which I wanted to run. I also think cities are a growing power center, not just provincially, nationally, but also internationally. They're on the front edge of dealing with some of the biggest issues of our times, like climate change.
You touched on climate change there, and I know you've had a history of working on that issue. Are there any other particular issues that you think will be the main ones in this coming municipal election?
I think the biggest issue in this coming election is housing. Absolutely. The more I talk to people, the more housing becomes their most important point. And it's different for different groups of people. So for younger people, it tends to be affordability, just finding a place to live. I was in a session the other day with a group of young people, and I asked them how many of them thought they'd be here in 2 years. And 17 out of 18 of them put their hands up and said that they would be moving. They were tired of being evicted. They couldn't find affordable housing. My daughter, Rowan, who's 23, can't live in Vancouver because she can't find affordable rental. So that's huge. But for others like me who have had the opportunity of owning a place, we've seen windfalls, giant windfalls. And it's created a very different kind of have and have not situation. for some homeowners, particularly those I've met with in the west side of Vancouver, their concerns are around empty homes, around the kind of density that's happening, the loss of the sense of community that they've had, and the loss of heritage houses. So very different issues for different parts of our community.
On the topic of housing, do you have any ideas about specific directions or initiatives you'd like to see from City Hall? Or do you have any criticisms for the way that housing issues have been handled over the last few years in the city?
I think housing is a difficult issue, especially if you don't have provincial and federal government support. And we're seeing for the first time an alignment between the provincial and the federal government that they want to address housing. I'm hoping to see a national housing strategy. We're one of the few countries in the world that doesn't have one. So that's going to be a critical part in what a mayor can advocate for. But in terms of the housing strategy, I facilitated the Mayor's Task Force on Affordable Housing. I've led a number of dialogues on housing. And I was waiting to see that housing strategy. And I've looked at it, and I actually think it's quite good. What we need to do is hone that strategy and move much more quickly in implementing it. I do think that the modular housing is a step in the right direction in dealing with some of the people who do not have shelter. So 600 new homes is really important. I think that we need to do far more in terms of innovative forms and new designs. I'd really like to see more work go into finding co-op, co-housing situations, land trusts. And I'd like to see some innovation around seniors housing in particular. That's an issue that I think we have to contend with. But overall, I think that there's some great solutions. We just have to open the space for citizens to come forward with those solutions.